we've had two very distinct nights at the Iolani Classic. Lots of close games, lots of close calls. On Tuesday night, things were a little more spread out last night in each of the 4 different games. But you know what this is like. You get to the quarterfinal round, and the atmosphere feels a little bit different.
Yeah, you're going to see a different type of team than you saw after the first game on both sides, for Garfield and for Long Island Lutheran. It seems as though when they face higher levels of competition, they raise their game. They turn it up even higher.
And it will be Garfield winning possession to start the quarterfinals. Zone defense. Actually more of a, it looks like more of a zone to start. Perimeter holding firm early. Shot clock down to 6, and Guidry short on the opening shot.
What you see against teams that are matched up very similarly in size, they can switch that 1 to 5, they can switch men, and so it looked like a zone, but that was really more just a switching man in that case.
Off balance too, good for Curbelo to get Long Island Lutheran on the board.
I'm expecting to see a steady dose of Curbelo today, whether he's playmaking or he's scoring in that scenario.
We talked about him a lot on Tuesday night. There's a lot of different tools in his tool shed, but maybe the most important one, he's very smart with the basketball in his hands as Eason misses his first shot, and the Crusaders are on the move.
Yeah, of note, Klaschek got the start today over Ohio State commit Zed Key, who struggled in that last game, so maybe an injury or maybe some type of issue.
And the first foul on Garfield will go against Kendall Munson. Key struggled from the free throw line. He was 1 of 11 in that game on Tuesday against Kamehameha. So Klaschek, who scored 6 off the bench, starts in this game, and an easy 2 for Pinzone going right to the rim. Stewart on the other end, and the Bulldogs are on the board.
The freshman with the long range 3 off of the skip pass.
A lot of glowing things to say about his upside. And again, he's got 3 more years of varsity ball. Curbelo, the touch, no good. And numbers up ahead for Garfield. Not an easy finish, but Tremaine Guidry gets it to go.
Looked like Guidry wanted to kick that one out to the corner, but the hands went up in that passing lane, and he was able to hang and still finish that off the board.
We'll get it out for Pinzone. Couldn't fight initially, free off the double screen on top. 3 straight on off the back rim. There's Eason with the board. Eason, we didn't really talk about him at all against Kaiser. He's also another player you'll be talking about after his high school career is over. Stewart, that one won't drop. The 1-point lead early on. Pinzone is fouled at the 3-point line.
What I really like about Garfield is that they have a lot of versatile players, just like their coach and former NBA player, Brandon Roy. Any one of these guys can grab the rebound, push it up themselves. They're great passers. They find each other in transition, and they're great finishers, and they can all hit shots. So a lot of versatility.
They'll get it into Traore. Nice job with the help coming in. Put a whistle. And that will go against Eason. First time we've seen it entered into the post here in the first 2 minutes and change. Pinzone trying to find a little bit of a rhythm early on. We've seen him with a lot of touches. Curbelo finds Bergstrom in the corner. And the lead now 4. Gardner hurrying on the other end. Klaschek challenges, but it's cleaned up by Tari Eason.
Both teams doing what they do. Curbelo making plays, finding the shooter in the corner, then Garfield turning transition off of the made bucket.
I will mention, by the way, they called the last one a 2, it looks like, because the score now even at 7 as Eason slows down the other way. And a foul going against Pinzone. We'll see Zed Key. We mentioned his struggles from the free throw line. He did, however, score 13 points. He gets in for the first time. Corin Johnson had a nice night off the bench against Kaiser. He checks in for Garfield. Stewart trying to use the dribble, but Klawczek would not commit one way or the other. And Klawczek's got the steal. And will take it himself and draw the foul on Johnson.
Klawczek, sneaky athlete. When you see him in the warm-up line, he's doing some special things, and I'm thinking we might see him tonight in the dunk contest. But he does add a different dimension to this team. He's able to step out, shoot some threes, but is athletic enough to defend, protect the rim, and then get to the rim on the opposite end.
He's weighing some of his options. Of course, he's got a little bit of time to make some decisions. He's a junior. He's heard from Washington State, from Santa Clara, from Bradley. So not just on the West Coast, but also a little closer to where he is now, talking about Bradley. Second for Klawczek. And it's a 2-point lead for Long Island Lutheran. Three-quarter court pressure put on. That zone extending out here for Long Island Lutheran. Nice extra pass underneath. And Eason will drop it in. He started off well.
Long Island Lutheran switching up their defenses. Started out with a switching man, then to a regular man, then some 2-2-1 three-quarter court.
Eason not there. Pinzone takes it coast to coast and drops it in. 2-point lead for the Crusaders as the game's pace picks up just a little bit. Guidry goes underneath. Tough finish by Johnson. It'll drop.
Caught him on that backdoor read, and it was a tough finish. Challenge, but got it high off the board and was able to hang and get that two.
Klawczek wide open. Nice assist right there at the top of the arc. Crusaders back up by 3. We're early here in quarter 1, and the quarterfinals is a nice dump underneath, but Johnson is blocked, and the Crusaders with the run out. Curbelo almost got that one to sneak through, but he'll head to the line.
Curbelo's so tough to guard. Even in that transition situation, he had a lane runner. He could have dropped it off, found a way to get to the opposite side of the rim. Really tough to guard in that scenario.
16 points against Kamehameha 2 nights ago for Curbelo.
But responsible for so many more.
If only we could see the entire box score, it'd look a lot more full than just the simple points and three-pointers and free throws, but you're absolutely right. The ability of Curbelo to do a number of different things, was 6 of 9 from the foul line, but really held the key to everything they did on the offensive end of the floor. Jaden Reed wearing number 4. He came in a few moments ago for Long Island Lutheran. As a quick 2 from Justin White falls. That might be the key to breaking some of that pressure. If you can get it quickly across and get a quick shot, get some points. Curbelo travels.
Long Island Lutheran has played a few different types of defenses, but Garfield, again, just plays with such a nice tempo, a really mature style. Never really gets sped up, looks for the open man, gets in the right formation, and is able to finish at the rim.
Corin Johnson to the corner. Off the dribble. That won't drop. And it comes out to Zed Key. protecting the basketball with all his might. And the lay-in off the left side for Jaden Reed. Zed Key is a strong individual, and you almost had to stay away from him as he was flailing his elbows around trying to hold on to the rock.
Yeah, I was a little worried there for a second. Somebody might catch one.
Johnson misses. Key gets the rebound and almost kind of knocking the defender to the side of him. Pin zone and one. And that's going to be the second on Corin Johnson.
Pin zone again, sneaky effectiveness. Found his way to the rim for the third time already today and plays great defense, 6'5", good length. Good mid-range game as well, and he does a lot for this Long Island Lutheran team.
It's his first year in the program, transferred over. He's got a free throw offers from Xavier and Georgia Tech. That's good. Biggest lead for the Crusaders is 7, final 80 seconds of the opening quarter. Poppy Justice, one of his first touches. Goes for Dorian Tibbs, who just entered the game, and he'll draw a foul on Curbelo. Just the second team foul against Long Island Lutheran. Crusaders will be in the bonus on the next foul for the rest of the half. Sneak it into the low block and Tibbs. Quickly to the high post. Now out to the wing and Gardner. Planks off the back rim. Key is making his presence felt early near the rim.
Yeah, he really looks like one of those Big Ten bigs in there. They bang, they're physical, they grab rebounds.
One of Curbelo's few mistakes. And he'll be called for the foul as Tibbs will finish up.
That is a big foul, his second. May have to sit for a little bit. Not just in this quarter, but probably a little bit of the second quarter. And he is the driver of this luxury vehicle, so we'll see how the game changes while he sits out on the bench.
Maserati, a Porsche, which one?
Yeah, something nice.
Vehicle's way out of our pay grade as Key comes up with the rebound. 5.5 second difference between clocks. And Key has it on the offensive end. Pin zone, draws help off the screen. Late pass in the corner. And the three for Jaden Reed, who's been active off the bench. Down to 7 seconds in the quarter, and Corin Johnson nearly lost it. Tibbs with 2. I don't think he realizes the clock. He won't get a shot off. Tibbs had it for about 7 seconds and didn't realize where the game clock was at. Shot was too late, and it's Long Island Lutheran taking a 24-16 lead into the second quarter. You're watching the 2019 Iolani Classic on BallerTV. (24-16), an early lead for Long Island Lutheran over Garfield as they start the second quarter. Foul trouble going to be an interesting part of this conversation. Andre Curbelo's got 2 for Long Island Lutheran. But you look at Garfield's end, Kendall Munson, Corin Johnson each have 2, and that's led to Munson being kind of quiet early on.
Yeah, he's a big part of that team just as much as Curbelo. Actually, maybe not quite as much as Curbelo, but he does play a big role. He's 6'8", he's long. He can grab the rebound, push it up, find the guys on the skip. So It should make a big difference.
Winner will get either Archbishop Wood or Wasatch Academy in the semifinals tomorrow. It's a traveling violation on the opening possession of this quarter. We'll go through the rest of the quarterfinal slate a little bit later on. In fact, we'll do that at halftime. Meantime, Corin Johnson and now Munson. Haven't heard a lot from Munson there. Zed Key called for the foul.
Munson making a difference right away. When you have a 6'8" guy that you have to be defended by the opposing big, and you can pull him out on the perimeter and attack the rim, that's a tough guard.
We were talking about his commitment to Pepperdine back in October. It wasn't any old commitment for him. He decided he wanted to make it special, so he waited till his birthday to make the announcement that he was going to Pepperdine, and Lorenzo Romar is going to be happy to have him. Chose Pepperdine over Montana, Washington State, and Washington. That free throw doesn't go. Munson was 1 of 3 from the free throw line yesterday. Garfield as a team was 8 for 15. He gets that one to drop. Jaden Reed has had a very nice first half off the bench. He'll draw a foul. It's the first on Poppy Justice. And free throws for the rest of the half. Reed will shoot 1 and 1. 5 off the bench for him yesterday. Another one of the youngsters. Interesting freshman to watch. Doesn't bring a lot of size to the table. 5 feet 9 inches tall. But what he doesn't necessarily have in size, he makes up for with incredible speed.
Speed, quickness, jumping ability, and he was able to knock down that 3 a little earlier.
Yep. He puts that one home. 8 for him off the bench, or 7, I'd take that back off the bench for him, and it's 26-17. Nice spin in the lane, but the block by Klawczek. And Bergstrom knocks it out of bounds. Relentless defense on that possession.
The effect that these bigs on the Long Island Lutheran side are having today is significantly different than their first game against Kamehameha. Klawczek's defending the rim. Zed Key's a monster on the boards. I wouldn't say, I don't think I said that the last game.
Eason off the mark. And Pinzone racing ahead. Bergstrom quick fire. Can't get his own rebound, and Gardner has it. Almost walks. Open is Johnson. Corin Johnson's first 3. Garfield's hit 3 on the afternoon. And the lead for Long Island Lutheran is down to 6.
They are so much more effective when they are in transition, when the floor is spread and they can look around and find people.
Key with great positioning in the paint. Draws Eason's second foul.
Back to the free throw line for Zed Key, where he was 1 for 11.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm sure he got a lot of work in either yesterday or earlier today on the shoot around.
Team is 6 for 6 at the line going into this free throw, make it 7 for 7. But where his strength is, you watch him right in the middle of the paint, and he had excellent positioning against Easton. That made it easy to get him the basketball. That won't drop. And the rebound from Munson. Munson spins right into Key, who quickly picks up his second foul.
There's Munson again being a matchup problem. He went to the hole the last time. This time pump fake the 3.
Key came off the bench. They'll keep him in there with his 2 fouls for now. Johnson tried to lob it in for Eason. It's knocked free and kept on that side of midcourt. Stewart, long range, with a hand in his face. It's out of bounds back to Garfield. Reed contesting. And they're going to hurry Key right out of the game with his teammate Drisa Traore running right into him, coming from the scores table. The entry blocked. Right back in Eason's hands. Second chance, too strong. Claw check the rebound. Lots of contact and a Garfield foul.
Love what Klacek is doing, and Triori in there with the other block, and the bigs for this Long Island Lutheran team are being very productive on both ends of the floor.
The foul goes to Kendall Munson. That's number 3 on Munson. And he comes out of the game. And Klacek will shoot 1 and 1. That's short. 2 consecutive misses at the free throw line from Long Island Lutheran. As a team yesterday struggled, going 8 of 22. Guidry trying to get free. Hesitates at the last moment. Eason connects from distance. And a timeout taken by Long Island. Nope, checked out, taken by Garfield with 5:44 remaining in the first half. A lead that at one point was 7. It's down to 4 here. Foul trouble certainly starting to play a little bit of a factor in this game.
Yeah, Curbelo just checked back in, and I'm sure he'll make an instant difference. Munson sitting down for Garfield, so they have 2 major guys, one going out, one coming in, and 4-point game at this point, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out on both sides.
With Curbelo a little limited, Jaden Reed has become a real igniter for Long Island Lutheran. 7 points, he's hit a 3, he's gone 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He and Pinzone was somewhat quiet on Tuesday night. Those 2 leading Long Island Lutheran with 7 points apiece. They've kind of filled in the gap, so to speak.
Really a great team effort by Long Island Lutheran. They're getting production out of a lot of different guys. Klacek has been doing things. Pinzone's got to the hole a few times. Reed got to the free throw line, hit a 3. Bergstrom hit a 3. Everybody's doing a little bit of everything, so the foul trouble on their end isn't quite as bad, and it's not having quite the same effect.
As you mentioned, Curbelo's back in the game. He's got the ball. As we see a zone put on by Garfield. Lob underneath, Traore, and it's in Garfield's hands. Johnson nearly stumbled with a slight bit of contact, but is able to finish. Bulldogs within 2. Pinzone deep. A little momentum right now for Garfield.
Switching to the zone gives them the chance to run.
Johnson for the lead. Brandon Roy wanted a foul, and on the run out, Bergstrom. Traore can't handle the pass. Traore. Did he travel? 3-second violation. Probably could have gone either or. Head coach John Buck trying to reignite his team. Clapping from the sideline to our left. Bergstrom overplays. Nice lob underneath. There will be a foul, as they were looking into Tari Eason. And that's going to be Klacek.
Yeah, what a great steal and a great find. That's a difficult pass, difficult catch, but well executed.
Reed coming right back in as the senior Bubba Gardner ready to inbound. Nice touch pass in the corner. And that's for the lead from Corin Johnson. Garfield has turned this around. And the Bulldogs bench chanting defense. Curbelo. They'll say it's on his way up.
Every time Long Island Lutheran seems to need a basket, seems to need to have a great possession, Curbelo is that guy. He's the one that makes the difference for this team.
Tari Eason just picked up his 3rd foul. He and Kendall Munson each have 2. Justin White's going to head to the scores table here in a second, as Curbelo hits the first free throw, and we're even at 28. Eason considered the star player on this Garfield team. Fouls really limiting him right now.
Yeah, Munson and Eason are the guys for this team. They make plays. They don't only score. They don't only rebound. They don't only play defense, but they make plays. Eason was responsible for that last touch and kick out for that three.
Halfway through the second quarter, great quick look underneath. The shot doesn't drop for Gardner. And another foul. And Traore says, that's on me.
It was me, it was me. Curbelo was pointing at him. It wasn't me.
I can't sacrifice one more. Drisa, you got to take that one.
Yeah, no, not me.
1-1 for the senior Justin White, who's got 3 off the bench. And the lead back on the end of the Bulldogs from Seattle, Washington. Traore the rebound. Garfield staying in that zone you talked about a minute ago. Here's a 3 in the corner, way off the mark from Paul Jordan, seeing his first minutes. Both teams showing off their iterations of a zone. Stewart, not an easy shot. Traore securing the rebound. He had Justin White right on his hip. That's taken away. And Guidry races out. That's going to be a goaltend.
Curbelo was the first guy back there, but with the 2 fouls, he wasn't able to contest, was able to just do a run by and easier finish there with the goaltend.
Klawczek trapping that against the backboard. Bulldogs lead now 3. Under 3 to go in the second quarter.
Garfield sticking with this zone. It's been really effective over the last maybe 8 possessions.
Reed wants it. Nowhere close. And Stewart's got the rebound. Klawczek nearly got his second foul.
Tallest player on the floor for the Bulldogs is 6'4", so they're undersized really at this point with Munson and Eason out of the game. And this zone has really hid their size disadvantage and resulted in a lot of stops.
Difficult take into the lane. They get out to Justin White. Shot clock's at 5. It's knocked free back into White's hands. Nice hesitation. Foul going to go against Traore, his second.
Ugly possession. But it ended up with free throws for the Bulldogs here.
You talked earlier about good team basketball, and I feel like we've seen it on both ends, but when you have foul trouble like both teams are seeing, that gets highlighted even more so when you see the Jaden Reeds for Long Island, the Justin Whites for Garfield heading to the free throw line. Not always necessarily the showcase here when a lot of the individual talent shines out. It's a little bit different, but you're seeing that here with both of these teams.
That's why a bench is so important to these teams, because these types of things happen. Foul trouble happens. Sometimes guys have bad days, and you need to have your next set of guys ready. Everyone has got to be ready to step up.
Zedke is back in for Long Island Lutheran, and he wants the lob. Gets it, adjusts, and is blocked by White. And then throws it away. And Curbelo gets up in the air, snatches it out. And will go all the way to the rim. Key is fouled and scores.
The size disadvantage or advantage there for Zed Key on the inside. No one his size to defend that, but that was he got that rebound because of Curbelo. He forced help. Curbelo may have missed the shot, but he made a strong attack, forced the help by the defense, and no one was there for Zed Key.
Key now 2 of 3 from the free throw line, and the Crusaders are within 1. Corin Johnson has seen a lot of minutes coming off the bench. As Justin White kicks it out, Johnson knocks down the 3. That's his 3rd. He's got 15 points. Curbelo leans and misses. And the freshman Stewart has the rebound. Guidry, the spin and the fade, but the block by Klacek staying disciplined. Curbelo challenged by Stewart, he misses. 3 on 3 the other way. Good job defensively by Klacek.
Excellent job.
Stewart will fire. Key the board. 10-second difference between game and shot clock.
That may have been a 2-for-1 shot there for Garfield. They're going to get the opportunity to get it back with the shot clock. 2 possessions for 1.
The lob up, and Pinzon drops it in.
That lob may have been for a dunk, or that's maybe how they drew it up, but Pinzon, with the presence of mind to be able to control it and realize it's 2 points all the same.
Last time Garfield didn't realize where the game clock was. Johnson with 2, launches, and is short. Long Island Lutheran had an 8-point lead after 1, but Garfield outscores Long Island Lutheran 19-9 in the second quarter and will take a 2-point lead into the locker room. 35-33, Garfield ahead. We'll come back in a little bit for half number 2 here at the 2019 Iolani Classic on BallerTV. At the half, it's quarterfinal number 1 of the 2019 Iolani Classic, and it's the Garfield Bulldogs leading the 11th ranked Long Island Lutheran Crusaders. Your score 35-33. With Dean Shimamoto, I'm Josh Pacheco. We'll take a look at the first half numbers in a moment, but let's take a look at the tournament bracket here at the Iolani Classic. The winner of this game will get either Archbishop Wood or Wasatch Academy. That's the game that's coming up next. Kalani will take on Oak Hill at 6:30. Kalani beat Iolani just 2 nights ago. And then Mount Vernon and Jefferson, that's the 8 o'clock game. I think we both agree. We were talking about the slate coming up, and I think we both identified that game as maybe one of the better games remaining outside of this one that we have tonight.
Yeah, based on the first round action, it looks as though Mount Vernon and Jefferson could be a great matchup. I don't know who would be favored in that one, but I know both in the first round, they had their struggles. Mililani gave Mount Vernon quite a run, and Jefferson had a difficult time with Damien last night, so those weren't easy games, easy first round games for those teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out for their second game in this winner's bracket and going up against equal types of athleticism and very storied programs on both ends. So yeah, I really want to see how that one's going to play out.
First half numbers here, and we talk about role players, we talk about team basketball, and it's exuded by some of these numbers. Corin Johnson came off the bench, loads of foul trouble for Garfield, and Johnson's got 15 points. He's hit 3 of Garfield's 6 3-pointers. That's been a big spark for them.
Yeah, they're undersized, and Long Island Lutheran plays almost a sagging type of defense where they try to limit the amount of penetration that they give up, and what that means is you're going to have to hit some shots, and that's what they did, and that opened it up for the Garfield Bulldogs.
9 for Rafael Pinzon to lead Long Island Lutheran. He's gone to the line quite a bit. They fared quite a bit better than the 8 for 22 they did yesterday as the second half is underway. See Tremaine Guidry back in there. There's Bubba Gardner. Go baseline, Stewart almost out of the reach of Guidry. Kendall Munson's on the floor with 3 fouls. So is Tari Eason. Eason will launch. And Pinzone up for the rebound. Pinzone, Curbelo, Hugo Bergstrom, got Clawcheck in there. And also Zed Key is starting the second half. So Traore doesn't get the second half start, Key does. That's a little bit of an adjustment from John Buck. Clawcheck looks inside and there's Pinzone.
Great backdoor play off the out of bounds under the basket. Caught an overplay and got an easy backdoor finish.
Pinzone, the first for the Crusaders in double digits, now with 11. Knocked free by Curbelo and taken by Pinzone. And Curbelo runs right into Bubba Gardner and is called for the offensive foul. It's his third.
Tough call for Curbelo, but he did catch him in somewhat square. But regardless, that's his third foul, and he's going to have to play a whole lot smarter. So impact players on both sides are going to have to be pretty careful defensively and really smart offensively not to pick up their fourth.
We're looking at the clock, and I'm not exactly sure why. Whatever they've done, they've straightened it away with 6:59 to go in the third quarter. They keep Curbelo in there with his 3 fouls. Zed Key has 2 fouls. He's on the floor as well. Stewart moves it around to Corin Johnson, who's back in. Munson wants it. It's off of Curbelo's foot. You can hear Munson yelling out, "Give it to me," against Key. Those two already kind of jockeying for position a little bit before the ball would get in. Johnson, that's poked out by Clawcheck. Now 7 to shoot. Key not giving Eason an inch. That will drop. And Key's got his 3rd foul.
Impressive move by Eason. Looked like he might be forcing it there, but found his way to the rim with a giant step. Used his body, went up strong against the very able-bodied and physical Zed Key, but he picks up his 3rd.
Yep. Great individual effort by Tari Eason. Key the rebound. A 2-point Garfield lead. Garfield in that zone defense that really did turn the tide in the second quarter. Clawcheck around Eason. That falls.
You saw his athleticism there with the catch and the hang, but a great play. Very simple, very subtle. Pick the middle of the zone and pop the big to the block.
Guidry looking toward the baseline. Good help by Pinzone. Munson over Key. Can't bank it in. It's in Clawcheck's hands. And Key running the floor. Fouled from behind by Johnson. That's number 3 on Corin Johnson.
Not a bad play by Johnson with Key's struggles at the free throw line. That was a short 2 points on the dunk, but is able to make him earn it, where he's currently 1 for 2.
That's right. 4 points, make that 2 of 3 actually, but certainly a lot better than what we saw in game number 1. Make it 3 of 4. They've gone to the free throw line a lot. 11 for 15 from the free throw line.
Shooting a much higher percentage than their first game.
Make it 12 for 16. That goes for Key. He comes out with Drisa Traore coming back in. Yeah, I won't get through the percentages, but let's say 8 for 22 is a little closer to about 38-40%. They won despite that. Guidry looking inside. Instead, he'll take the mid-range shot. Munson the board. but it ends in the hands of Eason. We're back even at 39, 3 minutes elapsed in the third quarter. Curbelo, quick move. A little late, he was open in that right corner. Bergstrom will let it fly. We haven't talked a lot about Hugo Bergstrom, but he's got 2 3-pointers and the lead back in the hands of the Crusaders.
Bergstrom knows what he does. He hunts for shots, and he's the guy that's gonna bust that zone.
Curbelo's got to be careful. There was a little bit of body contact. That was nearly his 4th foul, but he's staying right with Stewart. Bergstrom has the takeaway. They won't try to do too much with it. Curbelo to the rim. Almost went. Traore fouled. If that's Eason, that's 4, and he didn't look thrilled. It's not on Eason, it's Jalen Stewart.
We had another "it's not me, it wasn't me" situation there. Pointed over at his teammate.
Cue the popular Shaggy song, "It Wasn't Me." For you pop culture folks. One of the youngins sitting in front of us looking at me like, yeah, I know that song.
I know that song.
Had knocked off the head of Traore into the hands of Eason. One of the hits of the mid-2000s. That will go out. We'll stay with Garfield. Bulldogs trailing by 4, led at the half. Inbound goes into Corin Johnson. Eason, he's fouled. If that's Traore, that's number 3 on him. And it is. So let's reset this. Long Island Lutheran, Curbelo with 3 fouls, Traore with 3 fouls, Key with 3 fouls. For Garfield, Munson with 3, Johnson with 3, Eason with 3. And these coaches are letting them play. We haven't seen a lot of foul substitutions in the third quarter. They've kind of let them go.
Yeah, these guys are smart. They're veterans. They play a lot of basketball. They just got to keep themselves out of bad situations, make better decisions, but they've done so thus far. They know the alternative is to be sitting out and not being able to help your team.
Claw check travel. Decided to take option 2, looking toward the low block, but he moved his feet. Poppy Justice handing it off to Corin Johnson. Eason, that's a goaltend on Traore. And a pump of the fist for Eason. You can see his confidence today.
Yeah, you can see the difference when he's in the game and when he's being assertive. He's a tough guard out there.
Sometimes you got 3 fouls, you're a little tentative on both ends, but you could see how confident he was knowing the situation on the other side, how much he wanted to take it to the hole. Here's another whistle.
Same play again by Long Island Lutheran. Pinning the middle defender of that 2-3 zone and looking for that kick to the block with the shooter in the corner, but Garfield defended that much better. Prevented the easy layup like they gave up last time.
Corin Johnson just picked up his 4th foul. And he goes to the bench. They've let him play for a while, and then that happens. The inbound comes into pin zone. Nearing 3 minutes to go in quarter 3. Traore, another foul. That's the 4th on Tari Eason.
We talked about making good decisions. You don't want to put an iffy call, especially when it's your 4th in the hands of the referee. If you put it in there, you're at risk of drawing a foul call.
Inbound pin zone, couldn't handle it. And up ahead, Tibbs. No good, Stewart puts it back. And for Garfield, You're relying on Tibbs off the bench. Stewart did get the start, the youngster. Pinzone will launch and knocks it down. And a timeout, Long Island Lutheran.
Pinzone so effective. Every which way. Layups, floaters, jumpers, and then steps out and hit the three a few feet behind the line there.
We have said so much about Andre Curbelo. We've talked about Klawczek's impact when he's been in there defensively. Rafael Pinzone now with, what, 14 points? I thought he actually had more than that. 14 points, he's got a three, and has kind of moved around on all different points of the floor.
Yeah, he makes it look really easy. He plays with a good pace, plays with a good tempo, has great body control. Last game against Kamehameha, he picked up and guarded Kamehameha's top scorer for nearly the entire game.
Key here for Garfield, down one. Their two leading scorers in this game sitting with foul trouble. Almost away from Gardner's hands. They move it around, Justice and Jalen Stewart. Curbelo's ankle's nearly buckled. Tibbs into the corner. Stewart lost it. Curbelo takes it away. Numbers on the other end, 4 on 3. Curbelo all the way to the rim.
Curbelo always looking, always probing. Seems like he has 5 options every time he goes to the hole. Chose the floater on that one.
Tibbs in the corner. The switch with Key in front of him. Stewart likes this matchup. Won't knock that down. Klawczek the board. Pinzone trailing the play. Key can't tap it back. 85 seconds left in the third. Tibbs blocked by Klawczek. At least his second block in this game.
Garfield is going to have a hard time scoring with this unit. Earlier when Munson and Eason were out, it was Johnson knocking down shots. Johnson is also now out with foul trouble. So who's going to be the scorer for this Garfield unit?
Justice wanted to take it to the rim. It's off his leg. Tremaine Guidry's going to come back in. Guidry's got just 2 points. But you're right, the timing of both Johnson and Eason picking up their 4 fouls, both coinciding with the change in the scoreboard. Key goes down to the floor hard. That will be on Jalen Stewart.
Long Island Lutheran recognizing their size advantage, just throwing the lob simply up to Key. Not much of a play, not much of anything, just threw it up there and let the big man do his work.
Nice comeback game for Key. Not as many points, but he's improved at the free throw line. That one goes. He is playing with 3 fouls. He's got 7 points. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. That goes as well. 60 ticks left in the third. Guidry off the pick. Mismatch against Key. The step back. And the J is good. You said, who's going to step up? Guidry tried to make his point there. Klawczek out of the reach of Key.
Good recognition by Guidry. Switching defense by Long Island Lutheran forced a switch that caused Key to pick up Guidry. Guidry used that quickness advantage to get the step back and that short jumper.
Love watching Curbelo. I'm not sure if our cameras caught it, but he was walking with a towel on his back toward the scores table, not to check in the game, but to give out defensive instructions to his teammates on the floor. Gotta love that kind of leadership.
Yeah, you can see that on the floor. Coaches absolutely love having extra coaches that are out there playing for them.
Guidry tracks that down, 9 to shoot. Guidry somehow still has the dribble. What's the call? Traveling. So one shot opportunity for the Crusaders. Garfield will pick up. Reed with 3. Reed to the rim. It's good. And the bench comes out and celebrates as the freshman extends the Long Island Lutheran lead to 5 after 3. We'll come back with the fourth quarter on the other side. It is the 2019 Iolani Classic on BallerTV. Eight more minutes to decide our first spot in the semifinals, 52-47. Long Island Lutheran leading the Garfield Bulldogs. What's made the difference, Dean, here as we go into the fourth?
Plays just like that. Reed in, Curbelo out, end of the quarter. Defensively, they get a stop. Last second shot turns a 3-point lead into a 5-point lead, and they have possession to start the fourth. So plays like that by the bench of Long Island Lutheran is making the difference.
Curbelo playing with 3 fouls, so is Key. Can't knock that down. Loose ball to Tremaine Guidry. Munson is back on the floor with his 3 fouls. Gardner moves it around. Tibbs in the corner. And that's last touched by Jaden Reed. Eason is on the bench with his 4 fouls. Johnson's on the bench with his 4 fouls. And let's see when Brandon Roy decides when it's time to bring him back. Munson with 5 to shoot. Takes it hard in. May have been touched from behind by Clawcheck. Munson fouled by Key. That will be 4 on the big man.
Munson should be well rested. He sat out for quite a bit of this game with foul trouble. So you saw him using that energy there to go at pin zone and then key and grab that board and be strong. So he's going to need to knock these down, though.
Munson still looking for his first field goal. He's 1 of 3 from the free throw line. Make it 2 of 4. That one's good. Key will get a breather. Traore is in. He's got 3 fouls. Might see that interchange between the two here in the quarter. That misses. Traore the rebound. Curbelo, after turning his back, on an easy take for Andre Curbelo. Tibbs loses his dribble. Now an open 3 for Guidry, and the lead cut in half. 54-51. Curbelo's going to take it again. Clawcheck drives, that falls.
Clawcheck is having a great game. Not a usual starter, started today's game, but he's done so many things on both ends of the floor for this Long Island Lutheran team.
He's got 9. Munson taking on Traore. Tibbs will try to take it. It goes off the foot of Reed, out of bounds to Garfield.
Just 9 seconds on the shot clock here for Garfield. They're going to have to get into action quickly, so I expect Munson to get a touch.
Stewart, the freshman, with 5. Gets away from Reed. Over claw check, no good. Pinzone in the right spot for the rebound.
Klacek affected that shot there.
Curbelo, the soft touch.
Euro step off-legged floater. That's a lot of time in the gym.
And Brandon Roy using a timeout. It's a 7-point game. A lot of time left with 5:45 on the clock. Roy has been part of the transition there at Garfield. Took the reins a couple of years ago. Actually took last year off from the program. Back this year. He took over for Ed Haskins, who at one point was the athletic director and head coach. Haskins left the program to take an assistant coaching job at Washington State. Then the coaching change happened, lots of turnaround. Haskins is no longer there. But Brandon Roy, I can say young blood because he's still young, and I think he could still play a little bit in the league if he wanted to. But getting a great opportunity to work with these youngsters has put together a fun program to watch.
Corin Johnson back into the game, and you see Eason moving over to the scorer's table.
Johnson high dribble. That might be Curbelo. And it is. That's 4 on Curbelo. Are we at the point now that we see Johnson and Eason back in the game, are we at the point where that number doesn't matter now? Or does that still weigh in with 5:34 left?
Oh, it definitely still weighs in. I mean, it really matters because Curbelo is a guy you need to finish a game. Long Island Lutheran needs him in there.
He came out that last substitution. Munson gave up the dribble in a bad spot. It's up in the air. Stewart's going to win it back. 8 on the shot clock. Good pressure by Reed. 5-second violation. And a pump of the fist from head coach John Buck, recognizing really good defense from the freshman Jaden Reed.
There's Jaden Reed again. Those types of plays are the ones that make the difference.
And Reed will bring it up the floor. Claw check off the pick. Hard drive on Eason, and it drops. John Buck is exciting to watch. The Long Island Lutheran coach jumping around in the air, clapping his hands, pumping his fists.
Really Johnson contrast. Yeah, big contrast from Coach Roy on this sideline.
Traore the board. The lead, the biggest it's been for the Crusaders at 9. And we get a foul going against Long Island Lutheran. That's on claw check. To hear the Garfield player hit the floor, that drew the whistle. Garfield has been quiet. Scored just 4 points here in the fourth quarter, trailing by 9. Johnson, tough takeover, Pinzone. Won't drop off the second hit of the rim. Stays at Garfield. Long Island has outscored Garfield by 11 in the second half. Eason draws the third foul on claw check. And I believe that will put Garfield in the bonus. That should. Yep, and they signal it officially. It will be 1-1. Eason has played with foul trouble. He's got 4. They said at one point his playing time, I think Brandon Roy said he's our star player. He won't have any reason to be mad at coach this year. Got offers from Cincinnati, Colorado, USC, and Washington State. Front end of the 1-1. No good. Claw check the rebound. Reed going baseline. Klocek doesn't finish, and Eason is fouled.
Back-to-back trips to the free throw line for Eason. He's gonna need to convert these to close this 9-point lead. Still plenty of time, but you cannot give away free throws.
Reed called for his first foul. Eason is 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Still in a 1-on-1 situation here. That will go. And he nearly slipped right in front of the free throw line after that shot went.
Quite a bit of lean on that shot, nearly crossing the line as he's shooting these free throws.
That's good as well. Are you insinuating something similar to LeBron James at the free throw line? That referees never call. 60-53. Key setting the screen. Bertram, nice head fake. The fire. Last touched by Garfield.
Zedkey instantly making an impact on the boards, sealing, rebounding, creating another possession for this Long Island Lutheran team.
Bounce pass in for Key. Got it.
There he is again, using that big body to seal off on the inside after the screen. Great pass, strong finish.
Guidry trying to find his way in. Stewart with a nice pass for Eason, and a foul. If it's on Klocek, that's number 4.
What a find by Stewart.
That is a split-second decision by the freshman, going away from the basket, retrieving the ball after it was well short of the rim. And Eason back to the line. As it is the quietest it has been all half. It's a 2-shot foul, and from here, Garfield will be in the double bonus. So that's going to be something to pay attention to, given how many whistles we have heard here in the second half.
Garfield's going to have to find a way to get some stops. They can't be trading baskets at this point. They're getting 2s and giving up 2s. They're going to have to find a way to get 2s and then get stops.
Klocek moves it around. Now Key. Munson's got 3 fouls. Key turning away from the basket. Corin Johnson the rebound. Eason nearly loses the dribble. Munson leaning on Klocek. Doesn't draw the foul, but Eason with the flush right over Curbelo.
What a follow by Eason.
I'm not even sure how much of that was on his hand, but a solid finish. Curbelo high over, no good. Klocek can't finish. Tapped off the rim again. Can Klocek hold on? He does. And we'll get a timeout taken by Long Island Lutheran just to calm things back down with 2:17 remaining.
These second and third opportunities that they're creating for themselves can pay big dividends. They could, again, another one of those hustle plays, another one of those unsung type of plays that could be the difference as well.
Both of these teams have 3 timeouts remaining, which means ample opportunity to play strategic basketball possession by possession if you really feel. Kind of favors Garfield in a way. If you feel like there's a particular possession, you feel like you need to draw something up. How has Long Island Lutheran, with all the foul trouble we've talked about, how have they held off Garfield here late?
The last set of plays you just saw. Key working hard for an offensive rebound. Klocek doing the same thing and getting those extra ones. So the one that Key worked hard for that offensive board, the next play he got an inbounds and got a bucket. Who knows what's going to happen here, but if Garfield had gotten that stop, they were able to secure that rebound. They're coming back down the floor to cut it to a 1-possession game.
Arch Archbishop Wood, Wasatch Academy will follow. Tip-off will come after 5 as the quarterfinals continue. Clock on the side of Long Island Lutheran on the inbound. Curbelo uses the screen. Pin zone, challenged, misses, rebound Eason, quick to run. 5-on-3 ahead, Stewart nearly lost it. Last touch by Bergstrom. They were fortunate a bit.
Long Island Lutheran ran a great play. They had Zed Key on a duck in 3 feet from the rim, but weren't able to find him. Pin zone shot a tough shot off the backboard.
Eason, Klocek's got to be careful with 4 fouls. Guidry, nowhere to go. Munson almost lost it against Key. Now he'll fire, that's partially blocked. Nearing 90 seconds to play. Curbelo fouled. Johnson's done.
Crafty veteran play by Curbelo. Caught him leaning the wrong way, just sat in front, let him lean a little bit more. Got one of the best shooters for Garfield out of this game.
Johnson had a great first half. Scored just 1 point in the second half. He finishes with 15. Klocek looking in for Key. They find him, but he traveled.
Referees had their choice of a call there. It was either going to be a 3 seconds or a travel. One way or another, they were going to lose possession of that.
2-possession game, 80 ticks left. Eason taking his time. Step back. Rebound Curbelo. And he races up the floor. It is last touched by Key. Out of bounds to Garfield. And Brandon Roy wants to use a timeout. Now where he hit 60 seconds left, 2-possession game. Now these timeouts really do set up something important on must-score possessions.
I'd like to see Garfield move the ball a little more. When they get in these one-on-one type situations, they've really been struggling. So you saw Munson there in the previous possession, kind of get the ball caught, lots of dribbling, lots of dribbles, and Key ends up touching that on a block. They lose possession. Similar one here. Eason got off a step-back 3, but you wouldn't call it one of the greatest possessions. Garfield is really great when they're out in transition or when the floor is spread, and they can create that in the half court with movement and screens and maybe get a kickoff of limit their dribbles, hopefully, by the quality of their offense and the quality of their execution. So if they can get off a good look, these guys are capable of making them, but the one-on-one against Long Island Lutheran hasn't been effective in this game.
I like your point on the ball movement. It seems like Garfield's been kind of playing for the outside shot the last few possessions, and it's led thanks to Long Island Lutheran's adequate enough job in the perimeter defensively that it's let a lot of time run off.
Yeah, and more importantly, they haven't gotten good looks. So earlier we were saying they were getting buckets but not stops, and they were trading baskets. Now they're getting stops, but they're not getting the buckets. So we'll see if they drew something up here and what they drew up, and hopefully it's for something a little easier than the possessions that they've been getting.
Must score possession for Garfield, down 5. Stewart off the screen. He's been quiet in the second half as well. Eason, rebound for Pinzone. And a foul called against Bubba Gardner. 1-1 now for Long Island Lutheran. And Curbelo isn't necessarily automatic from the free throw line.
So surprising. You see a crafty point guard out there making plays. You almost automatically assume that they're going to be a good free throw shooter. So a little unusual here.
Curbelo was 6 of 9 last night, 3 of 4 tonight. But he hits the first.
I'd love to see stats taken in the fourth quarter? What kind of fourth quarter free throw shooter is he? I'm willing to bet it's a lot higher than his normal season average, which doesn't take the quarters into account, because he seems to be big at the biggest times.
Well, that's why a lot of times when you have practices, you shoot free throws at the end, not the beginning. See what your legs are, what you got left. 3-possession game, 41 seconds. Eason, NBA range. That won't go either. He's had trouble. Key gets it poked out of his hands, but he touched it last. It will stay with Garfield, and Brandon Roy will use one of his 2 remaining timeouts to draw up a play. When we talked about it, you said it adequately well. You want to see a little more movement. It has still led to their same result, a 3 that can't find its way home.
Yeah, Eason saw a lot of success earlier in this game going up against Zed Key and attacking the basket, getting to the rim, drawing an and one, but his last 3 shots were threes. One was a step back, the last one was off of a pick and pop, and then you saw that one, it was a nearly an NBA range step back. Those are not easy shots. Those are even more difficult shots late in the game. They need them, but they just as much need buckets at this point.
What you draw up on this possession, you really draw up a baseline out of bounds play, a blob where you feel like you can get something, you hope you can get something right at the rim, and then foul. We'll see what they have lined up.
Whatever it is, it needs to come relatively quickly.
And it still doesn't need to be a 3, although you'd like it. Lob, Eason can't handle, and Curbelo will run ahead. Gardner with his 3rd foul. And while there's still 33 seconds, you felt like that was really a mood kill there for Gardner, or for Garfield, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, this was time for perfect basketball for Garfield. They need to get perfect stops, perfect offensive possessions, and that wasn't one of them. So it's going to be really difficult with 33 seconds left to recover from this 8-point, potentially 9-point lead.
Curbelo hitting his free throws here in the fourth quarter. It's good as well. John Buck looking for disciplined defense. Eason hasn't watched the ball leave his hands. Takes Key off the dribble and hits the 3. Now they need to foul quickly. That ball's knocked down and it ends up in the hands of Pinzone. 15 seconds, no foul here. And it looks like Garfield may let this one play out. Now the foul by Munson, but a lot of time got off the clock, 10 ticks left. Munson's 4th foul. It is 1-1. Curbelo has pretty much been automatic 4 of 4 in quarter 4. Not there. Still a chance, 2-possession game with 7 seconds, but they gotta hurry. Eason with 3, too much time. Goes, but that's gonna be it. They were down 9, Eason hit 2 consecutive 3s, but even with the timeout, timeout left on the table, time runs out on Garfield, and Long Island Lutheran survives with a 3-point win to head to the semifinals.